your dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you dadgum.
And good morning, Muskegon. And happy tax day to all of our wonderful listeners out there. Today is that day when all of your earning efforts finally stop going into the pockets of the dadgum government, and in fact you're able to keep the benefits of all of your hard work. And ain't that great? Ain't that great? Yeah, you got money back.
I did.
And of
my
course,
own money.
That doesn't mean that Uncle Sam likes you a little more or less. It means that you, in fact, foolishly loaned the various governments too much money during the year. And that's why you're getting money back. But nonetheless, this is Eye on Muskegon, and I'm Jim Riley here in Muskegon's Clear Channel Studios with the super engineer, the legendary Oscar Osbo. Super duper.
That
yes.
reminds me of the 70s, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, that's right. Well, Super Bowl, I never figured the name would last because it was so in the past, but in fact it has
in
survived.
Muskegon, they have super salad, but no one ever takes the salad.
Okay, moving right along. And with that entree, helping us is the equally legendary columnist, Tracy Lorenz, with soup and salad the jokes to start the morning.
Which you notice I didn't plug my camera in this time because last time I unplugged the camera, I was laughing so hard at Tracy. Oh. But anyway.
Well, that's right. Well, hey, do you guys all have your taxes filed yet? Now, today, of course, you don't have to get them in.
No,
but
I just have to sign them and bring them back to the accountant.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm set.
All right. I haven't even started on mine.
Uh-oh.
But which is typical. I assume
you can write the show off.
Yeah. Well, certainly there are losses there, but you must have gains in order to write off losses, and maybe we'll do that. We are looking for support. We got 2 supporters last week who have signed up to support this show.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
And well, I wish Mom and Dad were around. No, these are actually business folks who believe in our mission and who believe that having someone in the city and the county looking over the shoulders of those who are spending and making it tougher for business to do business, they are actively supporting us. So we appreciate them. We will have different recognition of them as time goes on. But we continue our #1 rating as a political talk radio show, bringing that information to all of you out there. And we do want you on the radio. So give us a call, 231-830-3109. And Tracy, you look like you were about ready to say something pithy.
No, it's
not pithy.
No, I was proud of our #1 ranking.
There we go. We continue.
You need one of those big fingers to hold up.
Yes,
right?
we ought to do. Hey, actually, I've got a couple of those. We'll have to bring them in because we are shown on TV 40. TV 38. Oscar's got me all confused now.
Sorry.
Every Monday night from 8 to 9:30 on TV 38 or Comcast TV 397. And somebody asked me about that 397. We are, even if you have the basic cable, right, channel 397 is available on Comcast. So you don't have to be one of those folks getting the free.
Comcast's way of saying, "Oh, we'll stick you on 397." I don't know what what that's all about, but
anyway. I would imagine it's probably a legal requirement, but
something.
But we are trying to make that legal requirement of value to you by providing some valuable programming and to help you know what's going on in our county. And of course, as I said, it is tax day today. Now, there's a variety of tax days that we're going to celebrate. Today, of course, is April 15th. Folks do not have to pay their taxes until April 17th, or at least file their income tax forms. And guys, do you know why it's the 17th rather than the 16th?
The government likes prime numbers.
I'm not sure the government really is aware of the difference between a prime or a non-prime number. No, the government likes days off. And in Washington, D.C., Monday is a day off. It's Emancipation Day, which, of course, is the day back in 1864, maybe. The Republican President Abraham Lincoln declared the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed, in theory anyway, freed the slaves during the Civil War. And in celebration of that, the good folks in Washington, D.C. will stay home from work.
Is that every year? I've never heard of that.
I had never heard that either. And the only reason it is every year. The reason I knew about it was because we were asking this question actually on the Talkin' Muskegon show last week about why the taxes wouldn't be able to be put in the mail or delivered on the 16th of April. So you do have till the 17th.
Somebody in the government was watching with a documentary on Abraham Lincoln and said, "Hey, we can take that day off.
Another day
we can take another day off." All right.
That's probably how it happened. That's probably how it and get paid for it too. Yes, they didn't
and be heroes.
They didn't say we're going to respect the government, respect the taxpayers, and say we'll take a day off. We will study up on the President Lincoln and on the wonders of the Emancipation Proclamation and do it without pay. No, they'll just stay home with full pay and benefits.
Yeah.
There we go. But there are other tax day events or other dates that are important in the state of Michigan if you are a resident in the state of Michigan. And we're going to talk about taxes a little later on. But if you are a resident here, tax day actually was April 14th. The average, they call the average of all Americans is April 15th. For some Americans, it actually goes into May for residents in some states where the state's taxes are even more onerous than they are here. So,
have you ever had to file for an extension?
Pardon me?
Have you ever had to file for an extension?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, me too.
Many
it's
times.
Not fun.
No, you get that last-minute surprise when you either do it yourself or you have an accountant that comes in and says,
"You owe us this money." He's like, "What? I didn't make any money last year. What?"
Well, exactly.
Wasn't me.
And I don't think I think most people. I'm certainly one of them. I'm not against paying taxes. We know that we have to pay taxes in order to fund the very vital government services that we've got and provide the safety net and all. But the question is, are the people who are receiving those taxes, are they really doing the right thing with these vast amounts of monies that they get from us, or they take by the force of law? If you decide you don't want to pay,
it's like the people that get the food stamp money and then they buy lottery tickets. You want to make sure they're doing with the money what they're supposed to be doing with it, not just frivolously spending it.
Well, in theory, yeah. And if you're giving someone food stamps, and which thankfully our government here in the state of Michigan just recently changed the law. But if you are getting food stamps and then you win $1 million lottery, then you shouldn't be getting food stamps. And under Michigan law, apparently that was legal up until they just passed it. So that's good. But in the 9 o'clock hour, we're going to have a real expert on taxes. He's been a contributor on the show before. The Mackinac Center has one of their government specialists, Jack McHugh, and he is going to talk with us about taxes and things coming down the pike, and some of the things that are actually already cast in bronze. There are some very significant tax increases for all of us here in Michigan, even if you're not one of those 1%ers, one of those evil 1%ers. We are back this week, if you're so inclined, back to Carmen's Cafe, Tuesday and Thursday. Very big doings going on at the Muskegon County Commission. Their meetings, always, when they have them, are at 3:30 in the county building. I'm always, just prior to those meetings, from 2 o'clock till about 3:15, I am at Carmen's Cafe. So please stop in, join me. We can talk about any type of politics that goes on out in our county, be it local or countywide or statewide for that matter. As a matter of fact, I did get a call from someone last week saying, "Hey, how come you guys aren't talking much about the city of Muskegon politics?" And there's a real good reason for that, that I'm just not that familiar with the city. We do mention some of the things going on. We've certainly talked about school systems and things. But we are always looking for reporters. If you have seen an article in the Chronicle, or if you have firsthand knowledge of information that would be interesting to the listeners of this show, certainly give me a call. Give us a call here at 231-830-3109, or if you're so inclined, you can actually call me at home. And I'll give you that number. You can get this number at EyeOnMuskegon.com, but it's 231-421-4409. Or you can email me at EyeOnMuskegon@gmail.com. So that information's available. But if you see something out there and you want to get it on the radio, there's an easy way to do it. Just contact us. What do you think, Tracy? Is that the way to do it, or should they drop in here on a Sunday morning and say hi? Bring coffee and donuts.
Yeah, coffee and donuts. Could go to Goober's, but they're closed, so we're at the Wesco.
There, so yeah, you go to Wesco.
Go to Wesco.
There we go. Go to Wesco. That covers pretty much everything
in the world is at Wesco.
Hey, you'll see Fred there.
Yes, you will. You'll see some of our co-hosts there. In talking about taxes, which will be the overall discussion today, but Winston Churchill has got a famous quote, which I wish more and more people would be aware of. It says, quote, "We contend that for a nation to try to tax itself into prosperity is like a man standing in a bucket and trying to lift himself up by the handle." And as our president and his party, Vice President Biden and most of the Democrats are out there saying that our problem in this country with this terrible deficit is not spending, but in fact it is we are not taxing enough. And there are certain people, what they would label as the 1%ers, who are purely not paying their fair share, and therefore they should be paying significantly higher amounts in taxes. And I found it interesting that the 30%ers, which is essentially what the top rate that the president, not the top rate, but the total amount of taxes is what the president's supporters are suggesting would be perfect for these undeserving 1%ers. The president himself is paying around 20%, which someone did the math, and apparently his secretary is paying a greater percentage of her taxes than the president of the United States is. So perhaps he will maybe write a check to the federal government.
Well, I thought they were making a big deal about how much he gave to charity, but that's all deductible anyway now.
Well, at least in the president's case, he did give a significant amount to charity, and of course we know that presidential candidate Romney has given far more. We found it interesting the pathetic little bit that Joe Biden gave, and interestingly. Not that religion's a huge deal, but he gave nothing to any church whatsoever. So apparently he is not a church member, or if he is, he's stiffing the church.
Got to pay for those hair plugs.
The church, yeah, exactly.
Instead of filing for tax extensions, it's filing for hair extensions.
One heartbeat away from the presidency of the United States. Lord, please look kindly upon President Obama, at least for the next a few months. There's lots and lots of talk, and that's what we're going to talk about mostly today. Lots of talk about taxes. But one thing that is not mentioned in the cost of that you have to pay is you got to pay your tax preparer. And I'm not in any way going after the tax preparers or the tax software. They allow us to do it. But get this, the average in Michigan that citizens paid to have their taxes done was $215.
I pay $206, so I'm below average, but
I'm a little below because I do my own using in my case this year tax cut. I got it a little cheaper than TurboTax, and
but your hours are worth something.
Your hours are absolutely worth something, and that's another thing. This $215 does not include all the time that you or I or Oscar or anyone else has to put in to gather all that information
to prepare for the preparer. And then you figure they're paying taxes on that $206, so it's a vicious circle.
Well, there is talk about how government is supposed to serve the people. There's a term that is really kind of an olden days term, the civil servant, and those days seem to be gone. The government folks do not seem to be believing that they are serving us. I believe, at least with some, they believe it's the other way around. And Roger Miller, I think, agrees with that, and he's suggesting we all take a little break, and as long as we're not getting paid, we can do that. So we will be back shortly.
Finally, a way to drive down the price of gas. Benton Chevrolet Cadillac GMC and GM have teamed together for an all-out attack on the price of gas. It's Benton's Beat the Pump Spring Sales Event. GM has authorized Benton to reduce prices on all high-mile-per-gallon vehicles in stock. Beat the pump with 42-mile-per-gallon Chevy Cruze, just $109 a month or less. 36-mile-per-gallon Chevy Sonic, just $12,842. And get 33 miles per gallon with a Chevy Malibu, just $119 a month. Choose from 10 models over 30 miles per gallon. Trade in your gas guzzler, and Benton will pay you an additional gas guzzler trade allowance. Top dollar for your trade guaranteed. Increase your gas mileage and lower your payment today. Shop today. Drive today. It's that easy. The first tank of gas is on us. Beat the Pump Sales Event only at Benton Chevrolet Cadillac GMC. Both sides of Henry Street, Muskegon. Baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet.
There's so many songs about finding love, yet so few about finding a great price on car insurance. Why? Well, isn't shopping for car insurance a never-ending drama filled with struggle, tears, and heartbreak? As it turns out with eSurance, not so much. See, eSurance was built to cost less, which is kind of music to your ears. Or at least your wallet. Visit esurance.com or call 1-800-ESurance for a quote.
Not available in all states. Savings may vary.
Double O Audio and Video offer a unique blend of services with life stories, memorials, documentaries, along with HD commercials and video editing, music video, all with some of the best prices offered and years of experience on top. Also, Double O Audio and Video offer video transfers, 8mm, Super 8, VHS, VHC, slides, all formats transferred to high-quality DVD. Double O Audio and Video. Go on the website at oo-video.com. Double O Audio and Video.
The Talk of Muskegon. News Talk 1090. WKBZ.
And we're back at Eye on Muskegon. It's Tax Day, America, and yesterday was Tax Day, Michigan. We're talking about taxes. I'm here with Oscar Osbo, Tracy Lorenz. Tracy, I earlier opened the door for you, and you chose not to walk through it, so now I'm going to slam you, slam it on your fingers.
Probably a good thing.
There we go. We're going to do something here. Yeah. But you are a writer, a longtime columnist for the Muskegon Chronicle, and you have not been with the Chronicle for a few years, but you've got your own column, and it is everywhere as I'm seeing it now.
It's everywhere.
Give us a well, come on, dude. Tell us about it.
Inescapable. Well, around Muskegon, it's in the Norton Examiner, which I might say that their circulation went up from 500 to 2,800 once they started writing it, but that's probably no correlation. And in the Muskegon Tribune locally, and the
Muskegon Tribune is
Daily Herald or Record Eagle, or I don't even know the name of it. I just said it on my column, but
Everybody wants you, though. I know that.
that's right. It's I had to put extra locks in my door. Pounding it down. And it's available online sporadically at MuskegonComical.com.
Now, why do you say sporadically? Because I found a little bit of a problem getting there myself.
Well, we're having a little problem with the website. Also, there will be, I just signed a little deal to do 3 ebooks. So there will be ebooks coming out of past columns, and they're free online. So unlike the Chronicle, I didn't really see the sense in that. You can get them free online. Why would someone buy the ebook? Other than it will be prettier, but it is available online.
Okay, well, that's all right. We will try to promote that a little more because I think that's neat. You know, that in essence, by every definition.
I was recently nominated for National Humor Columnist of the Year.
Now that's pretty cool. Is the
he can't dance, but he can write.
I can't dance.
There we go. Well, is that the final? Did you win it yet, or is it, when will they?
It's still up in the air.
Okay. Well, you got to let us know.
I'll let you know. Oh, right. Believe me.
All right. Well, believe me. If he wins, we'll know.
Yeah, I'll have the my car decorate on the side like a cleaning company or something.
Plus, he has followers that you want to have too. With the 150,000 followers that he has following him.
Yes, he does. Yeah. He has legions of nebbish like human beings.
Humor army.
Well, I would just say that that's a small business, what you have there. You, like some others, when one situation, in your case at the Chronicle, shut down, you said, I still like to write, and still have got the columns are excellent. They're funny.
And I want to stick it to the Chronicle.
Well, and,
we all have our different motivations, but yeah, I did still want to write. It does pay. Those are not free gigs. I do get paid for those. So.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, that
Take a hobby that you get paid for. It's not a bad deal.
I think we can all give homage to Vice President Al Gore, who invented the Internet, which allowed
that's true.
You and of course would allow all of you out there to listen to us at EyeOnMuskegon.com or on iHeartRadio. Just go to newstalk1090.com.
Thanks, Al.
And you can click on there. So, Al, thank you so much. A couple other things that we're talking about, the quasi-hot topics of the week, but tax. We talk about Tax Freedom Day. There's still billions and billions and billions of dollars that are not paid in taxes that are still owed, much like the Muskegon County budget. That's been a quirk that governments have been able to totally drive a truck through in violation, certainly, of the spirit of the law, where cities and counties and states have to balance their budgets, but they don't have to account for the monies that they borrow or the promises that they make. And I found it interesting. Last week we talked about this funky loan, $2.3 some million from Muskegon County to Brookhaven nursing home, where of course the county already subsidizes nursing home to the tune of about $500,000 a year. That amount changes from year to year, but they subsidize it. So how in the heck is someone who's already getting a massive subsidy going to be able to pay back an additional loan? Maybe you know, Tracy, because I assure you they're not telling us.
I think they can sell the old puzzles. They can
the ones that are missing a piece or two.
They can sell tennis balls for the bottom of the walkers.
Yes. There you go.
$60 a piece.
And there's a
tennis ball.
There's tremendous turnover, so a lot of those tennis balls and puzzles would still remain. So, well, that's the good news. Well, the bad news is we still don't have an answer on that, and we did file a Freedom of Information Act request. We talked about this again last week. That was totally rejected, but was kind of interesting.
How can you reject a Freedom of Information
They
Act?
said that I don't have the verbiage in front of me, but essentially they said we say it's secret and that's all we need. Now we're going to be suing. We're going to be filing suit this week. But what was interesting about this rejection was that just yesterday or 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, I guess it was, this city or the county came out with brand new Freedom of Information Act rules, which they will be voting on this week. And I'll come back to that in just a sec, because you may recall that it wasn't that long ago that the county commissioners, after much discussion, most of it private, but bought themselves all new, brand new iPads. They were able to come up with a way to spend about $840 per iPad.
Wow.
which I think typically they run in I think the most expensive one was $699. But they were able to come up with a significantly higher amount, plus they're going to pay about $400 a year in free internet connection, all with the idea of being more efficient. But what has happened is that in this new Freedom of Information Act fee schedule, they leave out the option of other costs, discs, slides, tapes, etc. In other words, in the old days, you could get your information on a disc or slide or what have you. That is not available, nor is the availability of getting your Freedom of Information request fulfilled in the cheapest, easiest way, which of course would be internet, with a link or right. The Word document. Then that is not in there. So the folks who say that, as Bob Skolnick so famously said, it's about time we moved into the 21st century, as far as it came to them getting free things from the taxpayer, when it comes from the taxpayer who's simply asking, can we have the backup information that you have utilized? I've already paid for as a taxpayer. You've utilized this information to make expensive spending decisions. Can we have a copy of it? Well, apparently now paper is the only way. What are they saying here? The copies of documents are 25 cents a page, and on and on and on.
Where are they buying their paper? 25 cents.
Wow. Anyway,
I could show them a way.
Yeah.
Well,
I've done it.
What leads you to believe there's maybe something being hidden? If someone asks you for a Freedom of Information Act document and you say no...
Well,
don't mess with JR, man.
It has been suggested that the fact that they don't want us to know what went on in these private meetings is that, in fact, they were planning and perhaps even writing checks for big boondoggles like this GSA thing out out west, and maybe in fact our county commissioners are in the process of leasing a private jet and going out to a seminar in Tahiti. We don't know. They won't tell us. And now they're changing the rules to eliminate computer process time as an option and to eliminate other costs as an option. It's got to go back to the old ways. Bob Skolnick, if you're out there, buddy, we'd like to bring the taxpayer and the citizen in our community into the 21st century, too, not going backwards. So I think Roger would agree with that, even though he's not around any longer. So when we come back, we will be talking with Jack McHugh from the Mackinac Center.
Love me sometime.
Spring has sprung, so get to Bill's Sports Shop in Spring Lake for the best deal on a new Honda. Bill's Sports Shop is West Michigan's Honda specialist, and they're going to save you plenty. Scooters, ATVs, touring, and high-performance bikes. Honda Goldwing, Shadows, Furies, Honda Ruckus scooters. Bill's Sports Shop has the complete line of Hondas. Save money on gas this summer with a bike from Bill's. Get your spring tune-up today from Bill's Service Department. Bill's also has lawnmowers, tillers, and more from Honda and Toro. Factory-to-dealer incentives, bonus bucks, special low-rate financing. See dealer for details. Bill's Sports Shop, where all they sell is Honda. In downtown Spring Lake across from McDonald's.
Double O Audio and Video offer a unique blend of services with life stories, memorials, documentaries, along with HD commercials and video editing, music video, all with some of the best prices offered and years of experience on top. Also, Double O Audio and Video offer video transfers, 8mm, Super 8, VHS, VHC, slides, all formats transferred to high-quality DVD. Double O Audio and Video on the website at oo-video.com. Double O Audio and Video.
Hi, this is Brian Kilmeade, inviting you to listen to Kilmeade and Friends. I break down the biggest stories of the day in the news and tell you what I think. Plus, you get insight and perspective from my Fox friends like Steve Ducey, Gretchen Carlson, Brett Baer, Chris Wallace, Governor Mike Huckabee, Bill Hammer, Martha McCallum, and people like Geraldo Rivera, only on Kilmeade and Friends.
Catch it weekday mornings from 9 till 11 on News Talk 1090, WKBZ, the talk of Muskegon.
It's your car. You take it to people you trust.
Don't rebuild. Who wants to rip out your leg?
It's your finances. You want to go to the experts.
Cut your payments by 50%.
We've got to find a way to get out from under this debt.
We can help. The National Foundation for Credit Counseling is a nonprofit organization that has been helping people for 60 years. Speak with a counselor today at 800-388-2227 or visit debtadvice.org. This is a public service campaign for the NFCC.
The Talk of Muskegon is News Talk 1090, WKBZ Muskegon, and heard 24 hours a day on WOOD HD2 Muskegon.
America had just gone to war when Felipe Adams volunteered.
I knew what I was signing up for. I knew the consequences. I took a bullet to the side and left me paralyzed.
For Armando de la Rosa, the Navy was a chance to serve and see the world.
I got medically discharged in 2001.
Armando and Felipe were brought together by a unique organization that serves our paralyzed veterans.
If there was no PVA, it would be a lot of confusion. Our training is to better the veteran. We help out with the auto grant, the special housing adaptation grant, education, prosthetics. Our main focus is spinal cord injury and disease, but we see anybody.
First thing he had asked me before he even asked my name was I being taken care of as a veteran? And I thought that was pretty good.
Changing lives, building futures. That's Paralyzed Veterans of America. To learn more, visit pva.org.
Fox News Radio. I'm Chris Foster. The sun's up in Woodward, Oklahoma, with people now getting a look at the damage from tornadoes overnight that killed at least 5 people. City Manager Alan Riffle.
We're still without power for most of the town. We have had power restored to the central part of town, but on the western half of the city, we don't have any power still at this point, and that's where the damage occurred.
Heavy storms also sweeping through parts of Kansas, Iowa, and Nebraska. President Obama wraps up the Americas Summit in Cartagena, Colombia today.
About a dozen Secret Service agents were sent home, and 5 military personnel assigned to security for this trip were confined to their hotel rooms after an incident involving prostitutes and an apparent dispute over payment. It's been a distraction from the trade and energy focus President Obama had hoped would dominate this summit, even though aides say his own security wasn't compromised. The president hasn't commented on the incident, though he was aware of it before he got here, and many of the details remain unclear to reporters. White House Press Secretary Jay Carney wouldn't volunteer any information.
Fox's Wendell Goller in Cartagena. Pope Benedict's asking for prayers as he approaches his birthday and 7th anniversary as Pope.
Though clearly Benedict is slowing down, using a cane and rolling platforms during Mass, no one expects him to resign when he celebrates his birthday on Monday. As he told Fidel Castro during a recent meeting in Cuba, "I'm still able to do the job." Vatican author Marco Politi says despite the obvious signs of stress, he could have many years ahead of him.
Benedict XVI could be one of these personalities who live very long in their 90s.
And plans are in full swing for an upcoming trip to Lebanon in mid-September to encourage the faithful throughout the Middle East. At the Vatican, Cordy Walsh, Fox News Radio.
Up to 7 locations hit in coordinated attacks in Kabul, Afghanistan. More than 10 explosions, heavy gunfire. There are no reports yet of anyone killed, but there are people hurt. You're listening to Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Here's the official News Talk 1090 WKBZ forecast. Rain and a thunderstorm or two possible early today, otherwise variably cloudy. Can't rule out an isolated thunderstorm this afternoon to the high of 67. It'll be a windy right through tomorrow. South winds today running 20 to 30 miles an hour. Scattered thunderstorms tonight. Could see some severe storms, a low of 57. And a chance of rain tomorrow, especially in the afternoon, with a high of 56. Looking ahead to Tuesday, mostly sunny at a high of 49. News Talk 1090, the talk of Muskegon.
Okay, honey, go play. My son needed a medical imaging exam, but talk of radiation made me a little concerned. So I asked our doctor, how will this exam improve his care? Are there alternative tests that don't use radiation? Is the facility accredited for quality and safety? And will he receive a child-sized radiation dose? Our doctor told me, if you need a scan, the benefits outweigh any risk.
If you're concerned about radiation, ask your doctor and get the facts at imagegently.org.
Muskegon.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you dadgum.
It's tax day, folks, and at EyeOnMuskegon, we're celebrating in GSA style. We've got clowns and sushi for breakfast and a Gulfstream G. What's the new one, the G5 or is it the G6, waiting for us at Muskegon Intergalactic Airport so that we can do all sorts of celebration of this wonderful day where we finally get to keep some of our own money. And we do have as our guest, I'm hoping, Jack, are you online? Okay, well, we've got Jack McHugh of the Mackinac Center. And, Jack, you have an official title. What is that?
Senior Legislative Analyst.
Oh, it doesn't get any better than that, baby. Oh. Well, look, you write any number of excellent articles. One of the ones that I read, this goes back into February 2nd, and before I hit that one, I do want to mention that you are a writer for, among many other things, but for the absolutely spectacular investigative journalism arm of the Mackinac Center, which is the Michigan Capital Confidential, which I believe that it's MichiganCapitalConfidential.com online. Is that correct?
Yeah, or just MishCapCon.
MishCapCon. Okay, that'll get you there too if you Google. And that's you guys are really doing the investigative journalism that used to be done by the television, the radio, and of course the newspapers. So thank you for that. And I was reading an article that you had written. This is back in February, but it was talking about some of the new taxes that are going to be coming to Michigan, and you had outlined a fairly significant increase in our gasoline taxes and vehicle registration and things of that sort. So I did want to get to that because as we are talking about taxes, our promos for the week are promising that people don't realize, but most people pay far more in state and local taxes and fees than they pay in federal taxes, and of course that's the one that gets all the coverage. So we're talking with Jack McHugh from the Mackinac Center, who's going to give us a little more info on what's going on with the state taxes and other taxes within our state.
Well, appreciate that, Jim, and it's great to be here and be able to talk to you and your great audience out there. As you say, indeed, government at all levels consumes about, it's more than 40%, and in the not-too-distant future, it could be pushing 50% of our personal income, and a goodly chunk of that is taken by state and local governments. The federal government is probably responsible, it is responsible for about 25% of the total right now. So, you're talking 10-15% being taken by state and locals, and people often, don't really have a good sense of where that all comes. But as you mentioned, the gas tax, property tax, sales tax, of course, the personal income tax imposed by the state and some local governments, even in Michigan, all contributes to it. So, yes, the battle against overtaxation is very much a state and local battle, in addition to one that we fight on the federal level.
Well, we have the ability to fight it locally. We really, other than maybe getting with a Tea Party protest or something, on the national level, our hands are tied. But we do have some effect if we communicate with our local legislators and councilmen and trustees and all, right?
Oh, yeah. People have a lot more clout at the state level and at the local level than they think they do. I'll give you an example. I used to work on legislative staff, and if a legislator gets phone calls from half a dozen or a dozen real people, not ginned up special interest phone calls, but genuine people who live in his district, that has a real impact, and it can actually change votes.
You mean 6 people? 6 people calling a legislator, like in our case, maybe Holly Hughes or Jeff Hansen or who's the other? My mind just went blank. We have a Democrat state rep. But 6 people can change their vote?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I've seen it where a lawmaker will get those kind of calls. And as I say, I'm not talking about ginned up calls by the union or something like that, but just real people. A legislator will get those calls and go into the caucus meeting before session and say, sorry, guys, I can't be with you on this issue today because I'm getting the calls in my office. So it doesn't always work that way, but people that attitude that, I'm just one voice, it doesn't matter what I think. At the congressional level, it's and presidential, of course, it's hard to argue with that. But at the state legislator level, that's just not true. You really do have a lot of clout. And more broadly speaking, it is the overall climate of public opinion that determines what governments at any level will do. Politicians are not leaders, they're followers. They follow the public. So, that's another thing for people to always keep in mind. We've seen that. We saw that in 2009, 2010, the rise of the Tea Party and some big electoral changes in 2010 was an example of that climate of public opinion shifting and having a real impact on the political makeup of the country and state.
But a lot of the Tea Party activity, and now I don't know if it's the media not covering it, but a lot of the grassroots anger at spending and promises. In our case here, we have in Muskegon County with this now $108 million worth of unfunded promises to the county employees, which someone's got to pick up at some point. There doesn't seem to be that anger, at least on the media. Tracy, have you seen it? I haven't seen it.
I've seen no anger. I think they also might be a little frightened if there was anger.
Who would be frightened?
The media. I mean, I'd be afraid. The only threats I ever got in my writing career were from union members who didn't like what I said about their pensions and their pay.
Well, I see that Grand Rapids, at least on Grand Rapids Television, they were promoting apparently the reunification or the renewal, I guess, of the Occupy Grand Rapids group. So they're getting publicity. What are you hearing? What are you seeing in Lansing? Are the people who are really pushing for more spending and more taxing, are they winning?
I wouldn't say that. Of course, you know, the struggle against excessive government, overly intrusive government that tries to do too much and take too much is ongoing. It will never end. There is no final victory in this. It's kind of a human tendency, unfortunately, to want to use other people's money to accomplish, you know, one's own social ends.
It's a situation everybody wants to be in. They'd all like to spend someone else's money to get their own benefits. This is Tracy Lorenz, by the way, Jack, in case you just hear this voice coming out of nowhere. Not God.
Yeah, you know, I apologize for that, for both of you. Yes, we do have Tracy Lorenz, who's a Muskegon, ex-Muskegon Chronicle columnist with us, and, of course, Oscar Osbo with us, too.
I just have a quick question for Jack, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe he doesn't know. Do you know how much of the price of a gallon of gas is Michigan tax? Is that a curiosity?
Yeah, well, it varies with the price of gas because we're paying 6% sales tax on our gas purchases. But right now, the motor fuel tax is 19 cents.
Yeah, that found.
And then at $3.50 a gallon, you're paying about 21 cents in sales tax, which that's probably about what we're paying right now. We don't pay that on the state tax. We're not paying a tax on a tax in that sense. But
so it's a flat 19 cents plus 6% sales tax.
Yeah, so we're paying about right around 40 cents to the state government, and then additional amount. I don't have the number right in front of me, but additional federal tax on top of that.
Well, I do have the number in front of me, Jack, because I'm looking at your article from Michigan Capital Confidential, and currently we pay in Michigan. We have the second or third, depending on how you compute it, second or third highest state and federal taxes. We pay 57.8 cents per gallon of gas in taxes. But there is a proposal now to increase this, which would put it up to about 67 cents, about 10 or 11 cents more. What's the status of that?
Well, it's pretty much DOA. It was pretty much DOA on the day it was introduced, frankly, in my view. You never know for certain on these things. But, you know, Governor Snyder wanted to launch a discussion about road funding in general, and he did it through the means of proposing a big tax hike, which certainly did get the discussion going. The thing about road taxes is they're the closest thing in government to a pure user fee, which means that those who pay the tax are those who benefit from it. In this case, it's motorists who get to use the highways that the tax pays for. Unfortunately, that doesn't apply to the sales tax that Michigan imposes on gasoline sales, which, as we just described, is actually takes more right now than the motor fuel tax. That just goes to pay, mostly it goes to public schools and some to local governments, and virtually none to fixing our roads.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Oscar.
I was just curious, what about that commercial that's on, or that political commercial that's on right now? It says that Governor Snyder wants to get that money just to build that bridge. Is there any truth in that, or is that just a...
Yeah, you've seen that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The AFP.
You know, I think the governor's sincere that he would like to have more resources for road projects, and frankly, who wouldn't? It's just a question of, are you going to reach more deeply into citizens' pockets for those resources, or are you going to reprioritize things that the government's doing right now and do a little bit less somewhere else so that you can do a little bit more on roads?
Well, there was, at the same time of the gas increase floating, that idea being floated, there was also another increase, a significant increase, which was the vehicle registration tax going up by 67%. Is that still alive also, or is that DOA?
Well, in my view, these things are not going to move in an election year legislature. Again, you never know for certain, but I just can't picture this legislature in an all-fired hurry to pass big tax hikes in an election year.
Well, okay, if they're not going to raise taxes, and yet there is apparently universally recognized need for more money for highway repair, and apparently a significant portion of the monies that we thought in our taxes, our gasoline taxes, that was going to highway repair are not going to highway repair. How are we going to fix that? Looking forward.
That's the conversation that the governor wanted to launch, and there are different ideas out there. One of them that's pending is eliminating the motor fuel tax altogether and replacing it with a 1% increase in the sales tax from 6% to 7%, and using all that new money for roads.
Now, didn't they promise us a similar super savings back when our state sales tax went from 4% to 6%, that it would in fact allow for property tax relief, and it would fully pay for schools and teachers and everything else? That seemed like a pretty good idea at the time. It doesn't seem to have worked out all that well over time.
Well, it was a tax shift, not a tax cut, which of course, was originally, it was kind of hoped it would be a tax cut. But on the other hand, we don't have the big school funding battles that we've had, the major warfare over it that we had previously, not to mention continuous streams of property tax millage increase requests from school districts. So it's worked more or less, as hoped at the time. This new proposal, it doesn't bring in a whole lot more for the roads, some more, a little bit more, but probably not enough to get, certainly not enough to do the kind of things that Governor Snyder wants to do with his much larger tax hike that he's proposed. But it's a real problem. Anyone who drives on Michigan roads knows that we would like to have more money to spend on those projects, and anyone who thinks that, which is most of us, should also realize, of course, that the money that is taken for roads, not in addition to the sales tax, which doesn't go to roads at all, some of that gets frittered away for municipal transit agencies. Some of it is spent unwisely on above-market wages for on the projects themselves.
You're talking the prevailing wage?
Yeah, which essentially prohibits government from accepting the lowest bid on a road project unless the contractor pays an above-market wage that is essentially whopped up by unions and unionized contractors.
Being in that business somewhat, I own a construction company. It's about triple. You can pretty much triple the cost just for labor.
You mean for here in Muskegon, you're triple the cost from what it would be, let's say, in Birmingham, Michigan?
For a prevailing wage job, yeah.
Because of that. Probably, by various calculations, it adds between 25 to 100 million in road expense, for which we don't get anything. Right. It's basically 25 to 100 million that if we weren't doing that, we would have that to spend on more road projects.
It's a windfall for the employees because suddenly their wages,
Well, it's a windfall for the union employees and the union management, right?
No. If you're an employee of a non-union company, you have to pay them union wages for that job.
Oh,
so if the guy's making $12 an hour, you got to pay him $25 an hour while he's working on that job. So
okay.
It's, the guys like a prevailing wage job.
So it is. It's a
There's $50,000 to take off your bid that will make up for it. So the union contractor goes in, getting that money a head start over the non-union contractor. So
now wait a second.
It's almost impossible to get a.
Wait, explain this a little deeper because this is new to me.
Okay, say just to use some round numbers. Say it's a $200,000 job. Your bid's going to come out about $200,000.
Okay.
The union says we'll kick in $50,000 to the union contractor. To make your bid lower, we'll just give that off the top.
So theoretically, they could that union contractor could then bid $150, even though ultimately they were going to get $200.
Correct.
But the non-union contractor who doesn't have the union behind them
still best to bid $200.
Would bid the $200. Correct. Is that something that happens often?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's why Tracy gets threatened. But anyway,
that's quite a common practice and totally legal as far as I know.
And of course, the people paying this are typically governmental entities, cities, townships. And ultimately the taxpayer, who, in my case, I see that Norton Shores is going to finally get started this week on repairing Norton Avenue, which is one of the more heavily traveled roads in the city, and it's been an absolute disaster for years. One wonders, again, what the city fathers are thinking when, of course, they can build a new bus barn, but they can't fix the road.
Why can't they fix, because that's part of Norton Shores, too, that one section of Getty. That's the only bad section of Getty left is right there in Norton Shores. That is just a horrible section.
I think the dental union is behind that.
Yeah, I mean, I lose a filling every time, and I have to get new shocks every time I go down that road.
Well, it's again, what we have is we have rules in place that are counterproductive to our government being efficient. You know, Jack, we're running a little bit out of time here, but a couple things I wanted to go by because one of the big tax law changes and one of the big increases in revenue to the state was this taxing pensions of folks who in the past had not had that pension income taxed. Now, that seems to be an awful lot of money raised by this, and I want to come back to it in just a quick sec, but I noticed that in this rule, political contributions are no longer deductible. I didn't know that political contributions were ever deductible.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right, Jim. They weren't, and they're not now.
Okay.
So I'm not sure where there's... Yeah, I'm not sure what that refers to.
Okay, well let's forget that for a sec then. But we have a significant amount of revenue coming into the state government because of this new tax on some or all pensions, depending on your age. What are they going to do with all that money?
Well, they used it to provide for a pretty substantial business tax cut, which was an important thing that was, it was a vital thing to getting this state back on its feet economically. But it was a very unfortunate means to do that for a variety of reasons. On the one hand, it is understandable that Governor Snyder, who is interestingly not a political careerist and therefore does not fear to go places that regular politicians do fear to go. On the one hand, he didn't perceive any particular fairness in giving older people who are on pensions a tax break that younger people who are working and trying to make a living don't get.
So the exchange here would be that there would be more jobs, hopefully, because the business climate would get better, and that would be paid for in part by pensions from what we know statistically are the richest people in our state, which would be the retired people as a group, not obviously everyone. Jack, we are running just about out of time. Our good buddy Roger Miller is screaming at us, a wonderful song. And thank you so much, Jack McHugh from the Mackinac Center, and we hope to have you back again. Have a great Sunday.
Thanks a lot, guys. It's great to be here to chat with you today.
We'll be back after the break.
Spring has sprung, so get to Bill's Sports Shop in Spring Lake for the best deal on a new Honda. Bill's Sports Shop is West Michigan's Honda specialist, and they're going to save you plenty. Scooters, ATVs, touring, and high-performance bikes. Honda Goldwing, Shadows, Furies, Honda Ruckus scooters. Bill's Sports Shop has the complete line of Hondas. Save money on gas this summer with a bike from Bill's. Get your spring tune-up today from Bill's Service Department. Bill's also has lawnmowers, tillers, and more from Honda and Toro. Factory-to-dealer incentives, bonus bucks, special low-rate financing. See dealer for details. Bill's Sports Shop, where all they sell is Honda. In downtown Spring Lake across from McDonald's.
Double O Audio and Video offer a unique blend of services with life stories, memorials, documentaries, along with HD commercials and video editing, music video, all with some of the best prices offered and years of experience on top. Also, Double O Audio and Video offer video transfers, 8mm, Super 8, VHS, VHC, slides, all formats transferred to high-quality DVD. Double O Audio and Video. Go on the website at oo-video.com. Double O Audio and Video.
Listen to the Tom Hartman program Monday through Friday on News Talk 1090 WKBZ.
Coming up next on the Tom Hartman program, the right claims universities and college campuses are being taken over by radical left-wing professors who want to indoctrinate our kids. I'll challenge Professor John the left-wing intellectual napalming of our universities. Plus the best of the rest of the news and your calls right here on the Tom Hartman program, occupying the media 3 hours a day, 5 days a week.
The Tom Hartman program.
Catch it weekday evenings at 5 on News Talk 1090 WKBZ.
I knew I had a problem.
I tried counting calories, eating and eating.
Nobody else could possibly understand.
We understand. We're Overeaters Anonymous, and we have helped thousands of people stop their compulsive eating and start living a healthy, rewarding life.
With OA, I am living again and loving it.
Start living the life you deserve with help from Overeaters Anonymous. Find us on the web at oa.org.
The Talk of Muskegon. News Talk 1090 WKBZ.
And we're back. EyeOnMuskegon. Oscar Osbo, Jim Riley, and Tracy Lorenz providing a little bit of experience from a business owner, construction company owner, who's got to deal with not just taxes, but some of these hidden taxes that are out there. We talked about one, which of course is the hidden tax, which is the fact that everyone's got to pay an accountant to do their taxes. And as a business owner, Tracy, in addition to your personal, you've got to hire an accountant.
Got to hire an accountant,
and those costs keep going up, and they all have to be passed on. I saw earlier there was a.
They do. Damn it.
Well,
messing up.
Well, the problem, that so many people don't understand when they talk about the taxing the rich. Of course, we had a show on that a few months back where we proved that the rich, in fact, pay far more than their fair share. But when you talk about increasing taxes on corporations, sometimes I get the sense, and perhaps I'm a little sensitive about this, but sometimes I get the sense that there's a view among people in the media, certainly people on the left, who they feel corporations are somehow an evil entity, and in fact don't do their fair share. Certainly the oil and the gas companies are in some manner not good people, even though they don't live or breathe, and they should somehow be punished. And this is a headline that was out yesterday, I guess it was. Teachers and union leaders call for corporations to pay more taxes, sending more money to schools. And of course, one of the things that they don't say is when the money is sent to schools, it almost almost all of it goes into the pocket of union employee, generally teachers and administrators.
Of course. Go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
I'm just saying, of course, if corporations didn't do their fair share, then public broadcasting would be out of business too. So so they could have their little side thing to write off on their taxes. But anyway,
well, it's at least contributions to, let's just take a public broadcasting. Those are voluntary. The other portion, a significant portion of the revenue to public broadcasting, of course, is taken.
If you write off here,
taxes.
you can get this much money back on your taxes.
Well,
100% write off. Okay, yeah, well, it's voluntary though.
Well, that's not a write-off. That would be a credit. And
okay, I'm sorry.
And to be fair, I don't think the credits are that high. I don't know what the percentages that they go, but I know that when I used to make contributions, if I wrote a check for $100, I might get maybe a 25% reduction in taxes. So, nobody makes the contribution because it's a financially intelligent move. You don't give $100 to get 25 back. Now, a credit's different. We didn't get a chance to talk to Jack, who lives in Lansing. I wish I would have brought it up, but we talked a little bit about this last week, where the Lansing Board of Water and Light, I think they call it, or at least whatever their electric company is, was adding to the federal government's $7,500 tax credit, which is a dollar-for-dollar tax credit, to people who were purchasing Chevy Volts. So that if you were interested in buying a Chevy Volt, you'd get the $7,500 credit from the federal government. But then you would also, if you purchased it, and as it turns out, you don't even have to live in Lansing. Just if you purchased it in Lansing, I'm not sure what the exact geographic area was, but you would then get an additional $7,500 tax credit, which could be used to, of course, offset your cost of the car. Now, we know that the average income of people who buy Chevy Volts is in excess of $100,000 a year per family. Yeah. It's not a kind of car that the poor people, as you said last week, which I thought was very prescient, which was here's an electric car with low cost. This ought to be for the people
who don't have the money to pay for gas.
Exactly. But it's not the case.
They'd have to put up more charging stations down at Pure Marquette, because that one's packed every time I go by. There's a big line.
Yeah, there's a big line down. Well, there's a big line for the two of them in the county
Who pays for
county
those,
building.
by the way? Who pays for those?
Well,
those are put in too by taxes, aren't they? Or?
Yes, they are. Yes, matter of fact, part of the money, it's all paid for in taxes. There's no money tree out there. There are some federal and state fundings that encourage and pay for part of the expense, but my understanding is that a major portion, perhaps double, is the installation, of course. And then there is value in a parking spot. So if you take a parking spot just like you would for a handicapped person or someone else, you have to take that out of the mix. And if you're building a new, let's say a new Myers store, by law you have to have a certain percentage of handicapped parking spots, and at some point you're going to have to add.
So the average Joe's going to have to walk farther now to get to the store.
Well, not just walk farther, but someone has to pick up that cost. And in Lansing, this stealth tax was put on your electric bill every month. So if you couldn't afford a Chevy Volt, at least you would know that you were buying and subsidizing someone else's Chevy Volt.
Do you know how they determine the number of handicapped spots you need at a business?
Yeah, I don't. Do you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, tell us.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't.
Because that's a tax also.
If you ever wondered why there's like 15 handicapped spots at Best Buy, which seems disproportional to the amount of cars out there, because they determine the amount of handicapped spots by the number of cars there on the busiest business day, which is good for Black Friday. So they go to Black Friday, they count how many cars, how many people there are, and that's what determines your spaces for the rest of the year. That's
on the busiest, do they do that like with Myers?
Yep, they do it with everybody.
Joe's Barbershop and everything else?
By the busiest day of the year.
Huh.
So if you go,
is that a federal law?
I think so. Yeah. So if you go to Best Buy or Circuit City, those are the ones that really stick out. Target, I think,
Circuit
also
City's
has,
no longer, so they have all kinds of parking.
Yeah. Target has just a million of them too, so I think that falls in there. But yeah, that's if you ever wonder why, that's why.
Well, they're everywhere. They are the folks in government, and let's face it, we need many of these services. Many things we don't need. This whole GSA situation, and now we're finding out that your tax dollars, or at least some portion of the money that we're paying for Secret Service agents, is going towards the solicitation and the, I imagine, use of prostitutes.
And
I'm kind of in favor of that.
Well, I'm not.
You wonder where that money goes on. Like I say, I've always had the wonder of all this money that supposedly goes out of your lottery tickets to supposedly go to the schools, and how come we're paying more money to the schools now than we used to pay before when I went to school? I mean, everything was pretty much furnished. Now you got to pay for everything. So,
where I went to school, nothing was furnished. I went to Catholic Central.
Well, you went to
a private school.
Private school.
But yeah, I didn't see the education being hurt at all. I mean, maybe we didn't have the fanciest volleyball nets or whatever, and if we did, we had to go out and raise the money ourselves. As if you were the track team, you had to go sell. No,
I don't see a problem with it, but I'm saying, where's this money going? if they have to pay for everything now.
Well, it's real simple. All you do is just look at a graph, and you can just Google this. I'm sure it's an easy Google. The pay and compensation of teachers and administrators has gone through
we've talked
the roof.
about that before.
Just as we saw, the other stealth situation as we saw with these union contracts at the county level, where you have union employees who are in fact getting paid 50 plus as much as actually in one of the contracts 62 paid days off a year. Well, if these people are in fact doing important work, then that day off that they have has to be picked up by somebody else, and in aggregate it would have to be picked up by an additional employee. So these are all stealth ways to spend. But here we are on tax day, we're lamenting not so much that we're paying these taxes, although corporations are going to, they have money that they could either invest in new facilities or pay it in taxes. So it's a very big deal if you're interested in working or you've got children interested in getting jobs. But we're not adverse. We're not against paying taxes. We understand that it has to be done. But the problem is, no matter how often we increase the amount that we pay, the people who are getting it, like the little birds in the nest who are demanding more and more and more. There's never enough. We were told when we went, think about this, was it about 20 years ago, we went from a 4% state sales tax to a 6% state sales tax. I mean, that was enormous.
50% increase.
And and of course, there's more people, more spending and everything else. So the revenue coming from that is massive. And as Jack said, that there was some decline elsewhere, but everyone today is paying more in property taxes than significantly more in property taxes. Mm-hmm. And we know that there's federal money going into schools. So our question is how are these very precious dollars? I mean, people work hard for their money. I know, especially a business owner. I'm sitting here with two of them. I'm retired, but Oscar, you run a business. And Tracy, of course, you've got a variety of businesses. And one of the complaints that I've had from my business friends has been that they spend, in many cases, as much time dealing with the government, and not just in filing their taxes, but dealing with government regulations and everything else, as they do in actually operating their business and trying to expand their business.
It's a significant portion. You gotta dot all the I's, I'll tell you that. And if you're a bigger company, you have employees that's all they do is deal with we were talking about prevailing wage earlier, but dealing with prevailing wage, dealing with the various taxes, dealing with because there are different ways you can tax jobs as far as the material on them and the labor on them and whatever. So
I couldn't even imagine a large company doing that too. I mean, I'm just a small guy, and just saving every nickel and dime as far as when I go to the post office, my $2, I make sure to save that for my taxes, because just because it all adds up, and you got to do it, or else you'll won't survive tax time.
Well, they have the power, of course, the power of the Army to enforce it, and of course,
and that's
the
a little
government.
guy. I can just imagine a big guy paying, what they pay. So
well, it is. It's again, they have, I believe, a sacred responsibility, and by they I mean government at every level, a sacred responsibility to look at every dollar and to treat it as if it was their own. And we're seeing, just the absurdity of the monies being spent at the national level. And we even a situation here in Muskegon County where we're buying. Here's an interesting anecdote. We just bought these ridiculously overpriced iPads for the 11 county commissioners. We're only going to have 9, by the way, in a little more than 6 months, 7 months.
Sell them off cheap, the extra iPods? Or?
Well, one wonders where they're going to go. Plus the free internet for them. But because iPads are really not suited for that kind of meeting, they're not an easy thing to type on. Now the county's going out and buying every person, at least on the county board, and I wouldn't be at all surprised that the other ones that they bought, they're buying them keyboards. They could have purchased for $350 fabulous laptops that had keyboards attached.
I was talking to Mark Dixon about that just yesterday, actually, because as far as these new, because he works for the library and stuff, and he talks about the different technologies that are coming out, and some of these things, they don't even have places for using a flash drive or a USB port or anything.
They are uniquely unsuitable for the job, at least at the county commissioner level, and again, they are the single most. Well, they're the single most expensive option that they could have made, too. So when it comes to having a sacred duty of doing the right thing, they most certainly have not done the right thing.
Right.
Well, here's another one. It's never ending, but folks, this will continue unless, as Jack said, you pick up the phone and you call, and you can on EyeOnMuskegon.com. The right-hand column has got the names and email addresses and other addresses and contact information for our legislators. But here's a good one: the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, fined a school bus contractor almost $500,000 for excessive idling. So, in other words, if the school system hired a bus company to take care of
every kid in the school who spends their entire day excessive idling.
Well, exactly, but they weren't apparently, according to the EPA, putting out carbon footprint destroying, or I guess creating emissions. So, under the guise of the saving the earth, we have snoops. I mean, somebody had to be running around saying, "Oh, you've left this bus idling for a certain period of time." And of course, if you're a parent, do you want your kid picked up in a freezing cold bus, or who's to say what? You would think, given that the cost of fuel, that the company would be very interested in fact, keeping the expenses down to a minimum and leave it up to the company to make their mind up.
Well, if it's a diesel
as
bus,
I say, aren't they diesels? You got to leave them running.
Well,
especially in the cold.
It was not mentioned in this article, and that thought had occurred to me. But think about it. We have somebody from the EPA going into this community and with a timer, and then
doesn't
saying,
know anything about diesels, of course.
We got you, and then administrators fining them $500,000.
That's always really astounded me at my kid's school. He goes to a Montessori school, which is green beyond belief. I mean, what they make you do in as far as recycling and bringing in different stuff. But outside that school, every morning and every evening, there must be 50 SUVs with moms in them, all idling that car. Mm. All that fuel, all that emission just going off in the air, and no one seems to care about that. But
well, again, this is part of the view of far too many people on both the left and the right, and that is that these are good laws for you, but they're not really applicable to me. I'm a much smarter person.
They're feel-good laws.
They are the feel-good laws, which in fact, again, when you create a law, at some point you have to enforce it. And if you're going to enforce it, you have to have enforcement people to do it. And then you also have to have a penalty for that enforcement. And this is where they're spending their money. I don't think Roger would like that at all, Roger Miller. I think the dadgum government that we have today might have him rolling in his grave as we speak. But we will be back right after this break.
Double O Audio and Video offer a unique blend of services with life stories, memorials, documentaries, along with HD commercials and video editing, music video, all with some of the best prices offered and years of experience on top. Also, Double O Audio and Video offer video transfers, 8mm, Super 8, VHS, VHC, slides, all formats transferred to high-quality DVD. Double O Audio and Video. Go on the website at oo-video.com. Double O Audio and Video.
Fox News Radio, I'm Liz White. A series of attacks rocking the Afghan capital. The Taliban claiming responsibility.
It is ongoing. One British person within the British embassy is quoted as saying it's raining rocket-propelled grenades. And we're also hearing reports that down at the Parliament building in the south of the city. The local MPs are getting involved as well, trying to counter the attack.
Sky News correspondent Mark Stone. Some casualties reported. Severe storms slammed parts of the Midwest.
The house was shaking, and I could feel it lifting, and it was over that quick.
He's in Thurman, Iowa. One tornado touched down in the Woodward, Oklahoma area. 5 dead there.
We have approximately 20 victims that have been transported, with as many as 10 of those in critical condition.
City Manager Alan Riffle. Parts of the Plains, Midwest, and South could face more storms. Fox News. We report. You decide.
Good morning. Here's the official News Talk 1090 WKBZ forecast. Variably cloudy skies with rain and a thunderstorm or two early on, and then an isolated thunderstorm still possible this afternoon with a high of 67. South winds 20 to 30. Still windy tonight. Those south winds 25 to 35 with scattered thunderstorms. A few may end up being severe, a low of 57. And then windy yet tomorrow with a few showers developing later in the day and a high of 56. Keeping you informed. News Talk 1090 WKBZ. The talk of Muskegon.
And again, we are back at Eye on Muskegon, and we're talking about taxes, and we're talking about a variety of other things. One thing that caught me, we certainly want our officials, the people in the various levels of government to whom we pay pretty much all of our income until today, April 15th, which is tax day. Exactly. Well, we want them to be honest. Well, here's a good one. The headline here was City Workers Suspended Without Pay in Warren. And apparently, 3 city workers, these are city workers now, were accused of stealing thousands of dollars of city property. Now, here's where it gets interesting, including a heavy-duty toilet seat. Now, that's where, this is where we need the bada bing, bada bum. The heavy-duty toilet seat, which apparently was worthy of them. Now, the interesting thing is that they are suspended without pay. They weren't fired.
We had a guy, a union guy, steal forklifts and sell them in Milwaukee, and then send in a bomb threat, and we still had to pay him while he was in jail. Still had to pay him because that was not in the union rules as a fireable offense.
Sending a bomb threat.
Yeah, this is back 25 years ago, but. Yeah.
Well, these union contracts. If you're interested in looking at the union contracts that are in force today for Muskegon County, unlike their new rules, which won't allow you to apparently submit or receive information for a Freedom of Information Act, those union contracts are there. I believe 10 of them. And I think 6 are the current union contracts for them. For whatever reason, the county just chose not to make available. And I guess if you do utilize the Freedom of Information Act to find out what's in those union contracts, it will cost you $25 a page, and on and on and on.
Yeah, $25 a page.
Oh, and it has to be paid up front, too, by the way.
They've been around forever, though, because I remember when I was, 18 years old, 19 years old, when I was doing electronics, when I was going to school for electronics, and I was off for the summer, and I worked for Selfridge Air Force Base over in Mount Clemens area there, and they had a voltmeter that at that time I knew, because I was in electronics, I knew it was just a diode, which was like a dollar and a half for a diode to fix it. But no, they couldn't do that. They had to buy a new one, which was like about 400 hours for this $100 meter. So it just didn't make any sense to me. But,
well, I think union contracts have gotten more efficient and more logical as time's gone on. But again, we as the taxpayer have the right to see again how our spending is done. And in some instances, anyway, the governments are making it that much harder. And it makes you wonder, if they're not going to let you know what's going on, doesn't it make you wonder what the heck is going on? I mean, if they were proud that they were responsible, inventive, creative, really doing the right thing, just like corporations are. They time and again, they say, look,
let you see it.
We were so good at this, we made a profit. They have to report that quarterly. But in fact, when you see that at the local level, sometimes it's not done. The only thing we do here is we need to hire a new grant writer. We need more revenue. They don't call it taxes any longer on their end.
$25 a page to sell.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
How much is the
25 cents a page, not dollars a page. 25 cents.
25 cents a page. That's a big difference.
Did I say $25?
Yeah.
Well, there's a significant difference.
I wanted to get into that business.
Yeah.
I apologize. It's 25. It's 25 cents a page.
I'd have cover pages and like index.
Well, the thing is though that they have labor costs, which is about $20 an hour, in addition to the pages and other costs and things like that, postage and blah.
It does take time to make those pages.
Well, you know what? I don't have a problem with charging for the actual cost, but when there's an easy, cheap way, like you just said, just fix it for inexpensively, they come up with a way that doesn't bring us into the 21st century. It sends us backwards.
I never could understand it ever since then, because it was like, could I have this thing then to fix it myself? No, you can't. But I can throw it away, but you can't have it. It doesn't make any sense.
It's a sad situation. Hey, the good news, and this was a few days ago, and I'd really be interested in seeing some follow up from MLive in this case. But apparently there are asparagus picking jobs available, and this is unusual to me because the apparently migrant workers typically come up here in May and help harvest the entire asparagus crops, but because of the early season, and it's got to be picked. So there was a asparagus job fair with 200 positions, and they're paying $7.40 an hour. It'd be interesting to see how many were filled by all those folks who are interested in it.
That's a hard job, people, too. Yeah.
What I don't even know how asparagus grows. Is it like celery? Does it grow?
Yeah, that's
like a clump.
Yeah,
I thought it grew in the shelves at Myers.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Has it got rubber bands?
I was unaware.
That much.
I was unaware of that.
All I know is I've seen it being picked, and they go down there in like a little tripod type thing, and they're on each side picking that stuff. It's quite the job.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it anymore.
I'm pretty sure I couldn't do it.
Well,
I like the
work. They call it work because it's hard. This concept,
$7.40 an hour or whatever.
The concept that it ought to be nice sit down job with a corner window. It'd be nice, but it didn't work out for Greece. It isn't working out for Europe, and in the Eurozone, we have the Eurozone, as we all know, Europe has an enormous debt. And we all know the mess that Italy and Spain and, of course, Greece and other countries are. But the debt for the United States, the total debt, and this doesn't include all the borrowing, but this is just the debt at this point. $15 trillion for the United States, about $13 trillion for Europe. Now, you have to put it in context. Europe has more people than the United States. So not only do we have a greater debt than the disaster that Europe is, we have per capita significantly more than they do. And folks, this is going to come back. We will have a situation where retired people are not going to get pensions. Young people, just like they are in Europe, and in particular in some of the places that have already gone bankrupt, like Greece, are not going to be able to get jobs and services and all these things that all these government folks tell us are so important.
Coincidentally, I buy my Greece at Eurozone. Just
well, if I was interested in buying Greece, I would probably go there.
I have more money than Greece.
Well, speaking
right now,
you most certainly do, because Greece doesn't have any money.
Yeah,
Greece has
kicking their butt.
Not only has no money, they in fact are in debt significantly. A couple other quick things. Road deaths. We talk about the taxes that we pay, but it turns out a study, which I'm sure is your tax dollars going to pay some study at a university, comes up with the fact that road deaths, auto accidents, seem to be up on tax day. And my final government gone wild is a new Swedish shootings,
study. Or did they say why they were road deaths?
It says road deaths. My assumption is it's probably not carjackings, but it could be. Maybe I can't afford a car because of my taxes. I'm gonna shoot somebody and take theirs. But I think it has to do with the angst and all, and we probably need a new government department to reduce angst on tax day. But the Swedish folks had just come up with another study, and it found out, not surprisingly, that laws banning texting and talking on phones while driving are ineffective. So in other words, you can make a law with one, laudable goals, but the reality is that it's got to be followed. And I know our government is.
It's got to be catchable. I mean, how do you?
Well,
if someone says they're texting, then you pull them over and they just shut their phone off.
Well, there's any number of ways you can put very sophisticated cameras all over the community. You can do it if you want to spend enough money.
Or people can text to people when they're driving that somebody's texting.
Yeah, it's again.
Text to the cops.
Folks,
the cops.
all we ask is that if you have that responsibility to handle public money, spend it as if you would it was your own. And as we get ready for close here, don't forget the WKBZ website, which is newstalk1090.com. And always keep looking at EyeOnMuskegon.com. We've got the links for the politicians. We've got every Sunday we do post on EyeOnMuskegon.com. We post a link to the YouTube of the show, and then of course you can watch. Usually it's about a week behind on Monday nights on TV 40 or Comcast Channel 397. You can see us
TV 38
in video.
I got you hooked, don't I?
You know, Oscar, I apologize.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for
That's my
correcting me.
fault, yeah.
Hey, also, I'm on the Talkin' Muskegon show.
Within 2.
Every morning on 1090 WKBZ AM with John Van Wyck and Brian Worsham. I'm there every morning. I'm there Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And guys, thank you, Oscar, Tracy, and the Mackinac Center for loaning us
Is there any
Jack
upcoming any upcoming shows on WKBZ that you can think of?
Like news,
like
possibly?
news.
Jump on that. Why don't you?
Jump.
Well, there will be an upcoming new show coming up to WKBZ starting next week on. Will it run every day?
No, we're going to start out. We're going to have a new show, WKBZ, on Fridays afternoons, starting Fridays only. We're not there yet. It'll be next couple of weeks, but we do need reporters and other folks who are interested in helping out.
Yeah.
So if you want to get on the radio and put together a quality news show that's going to focus on Muskegon County, give us a call.
Not prevailing wage.
And Tracy was saying jump and wearing his pants backwards. It'll be amazing.
That's right.
Who knows what may come about. Folks, have a great week. Next week, we'll put the eye on you, Muskegon.
Love me sometime.